so to speak.
So this
Because
question,
in that moment, it might not work out.
yeah, I mean, so just to like a continuation, this is like another question that was asked, and it ties in perfectly to what we're talking about right now.
I was just reading that.
Yeah, walking up to streamers seems very scary at conventions because you don't want to be disrespectful. As a viewer, are conventions worth going to connect with communities, or are they just for business purposes?
Oh, 100% they're worth it as a viewer. Like
I completely agree.
yeah, I go as a viewer like a lot of times. Like I'm
Well,
going
a lot of
like
streamers have like meetups. Like look
yeah.
for meet and greets, meetups, stuff like that. Like if you're looking for a certain streamer, ask them like, "Hey, are you going to do something where there's a set time that we can meet you?" Because a lot of streamers will do that, and a lot of streamers, if you have
and
a
then
community,
schedule it in
you should
your
do that.
calendar.
And
Right,
panels
and
are great. Panels are a
yeah,
great way to meet with streamers. Like I'm going to be on a few panels at PAX East. I know a bunch of other people that are going to be. If you go to their panels and then like a lot of times people stick around after and you'll be able to meet them if they don't have a meet and greet or a specific like, community meetup happening. Like that's another good way.
yeah, and also like, you know, if you're walking up to a streamer that's like passing by, that just goes back to thinking about their body language. Like, do they look like they're in a rush and they're trying to be somewhere? Let them go. If they're just kind of hanging
down,
around,
shoulders
like
forward,
right? Do they have like kind of like
over their body?
Are they like lingering kind of by the Twitch booth, maybe just like talking with some people? You know, like then that could be an opportunity for you to go and say hi. So
if there's like
read their
3
body
people
language.
in a group and all of them have their backs so that like no one can butt in, they probably don't want to talk to anyone else. Like
maybe
like,
it's likely.
It's just like you have to be cognizant of like some people can't read body language.
Yeah.
Some people don't know those social cues, and just to be like, yo, like if someone is like pointed so that they're not like open and like open to the room or the space, like in terms of body language, chances are they're less likely to be receptive if you just come up to them. Like there's like some people just can't read body language. There's probably stuff that you can look up online if you're one of those people that isn't good at reading body language. Usually it's very easy to see when someone's like closed off and awkward and they have their arms crossed over their chest, or they're like turning toward like one of the people they're talking to and like cutting off the rest of the room. Like there's ways to tell when someone's receptive and open to being like talked to, like they're standing widely and they have their arms out, or when they're like more closed off, and then you might be like, okay, maybe they're not having a good morning, maybe I'll try another time, especially if you're someone who is very impressionable and you know that if you have a bad experience you might take it more seriously. Like, know yourself, try and get a read on that body language, and just like be like, okay, like I'm gonna take a gauge of the situation. If it looks like they're like happy and smiling and open, like go for it. If they're very seriously in a conversation with someone else, like maybe it's not the time, but you can always
On the viewer side for this, right in the middle of this question is, as a viewer, are conventions worth going to connect with communities, or are they just for business purposes? I want to say too that most of us have like a favorite, streamer. Like on the viewer side, we have like that one person that we'd love to go and meet up with and talk. We hang out on their channels the most. We know a lot of the people in there. But I would definitely advise you to not put all your eggs in one basket, because for any number of reasons, the schedule might shift, or the person might end up with a meeting, or they might end up being ill and they don't want to get other people sick, so they're going to stay back in their hotel room, so on and so forth. Don't allow your convention to be ruined because you only want to see that one person. There are any number of reasons why that might not match up. Try and branch out a little bit. Just see what else you can do, ahead of time. Go like, okay, there are 5 streamers that I might, want to see hang out at there if they're going to have a dinner. Like that's something that I like to do. Go and eat some food with a bunch of people from the community. So try and see what each one of them is doing and whether or not that lines up with a schedule for you, and even if it conflicts with the schedule, put it in your calendar, because if one person goes like, hey, I can't now, then you've got another one right there.
Yeah,
and
it'd be
going
reasonable
along
about it.
going along with that, like there are community things that have nothing to do with the streamer. Like
Very
I know
true.
some communities that they spend the whole convention, like all of them together, and they hang out the whole time. And like when you're on Twitch, when you're in chat, you've created relationships with people who aren't just that one streamer. And going to conventions to meet those people can also be super worth it.
Yeah, big game changer on that one too. And that's another thing that I've seen happen several times when people end up getting into streaming further on down the road, is they've made a connection in person with other community members, and then when they, a year after they've been streaming, they get shouted out by that streamer, and the other people are like, "Oh, you stream too? Oh, and we had such a good connection. We've had such a great relationship. I'm going to go watch it." It can also be a community building for your own broadcast further on down the road. Like everything here can be intertwined.
Well, like, I mean, that's how we got this show together. Like, that's why I'm on this show. I met a lot of you guys at conventions, and we started talking, and we became friends, and we open each other's streams, and then you're like, "Hey, be on the show," and I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Like it's the evolution of things. I mean, I don't think I've streamed with any of you individually.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever but I know you guys, and yeah, so fuck yeah, I want to be on the show, that kind of thing.
Well, and
there's a couple other things I just wanted to real quick. First of all, just because somebody is a Twitch broadcaster doesn't mean that they're good socially. I just want to throw that out there too. Like a lot of broadcasters are totally comfortable looking into a lens, but if you get in front of them with eye contact, they'll turn away from you.
Well, we have control on this side of the camera, and we don't necessarily feel like that when we're in with a bunch of other people and feel totally equal, and that could be very anxiety driven.
And plus, we're gamers, man. Like we're not like I love the gaming community, but I know this culture just as well as anybody else, and I know that we're not always the most socially apt, people out there, super genuine, but maybe not, and people, not everybody jumps into streaming to be a famous person and be super successful. I certainly fucking didn't. Like, I just jumped in because I wanted to play video games, and it's great that I'm social outside of this, and that's good for me. But there's other people, especially like when you get into the real pro scene, those guys who are like real pros, when it gets down to it, they're very serious, they're analytical, they don't understand conversations, so there can be this misunderstanding that sometimes when you go up to say hi to your favorite streamer, that if he doesn't go, "Oh, hey, oh, so and so good to meet you, oh, give me a hug," they're like, "Wow, this guy was such a dick." He didn't do any of that for me. But you know what? It could be culturally different. There's a lot of people that, play that are from other countries where social interactions are completely different. It just depends. So if you go there, like Hunter said, don't go for like one person. And if you do, and you get shunned or you feel like they didn't make time for you, this is, try to understand, like, it's not about you. There are so many connecting parts and cogs and wheels that are happening all at once that it probably led you to not being able to talk to your favorite person, or if you did, maybe you had limited time with them, or maybe didn't get the right kind of interaction that you wanted. And also, last thing, when we're talking about context and viewer to streamer and stuff, body language is great and everything, but look at where you're at too. Are you in front of the Twitch booth? Twitch booth is like free game. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you're gonna as a streamer go walk up to the Twitch booth, you're gonna be assaulted by people, right? People, that. So if you're around the Twitch booth, feel free, go say hi to them, do it. That's the time. Now, are they at a dinner where they're having, whatever, a private dinner with a couple of people or whatever, and you walk up during the dinner, again, the location is important too. So that was my
absolutely last yes, that is a great addition to the like try and learn body language. Also, like, just what was the word you used, like emotional, like
intelligence.
It's so important. Just like, and it's not something you can really teach. Like, you just have to learn how to gauge it for yourself. So yeah, that can be really challenging. But also, going back to one of the things that Elohim was saying about the fact that, like, you have to also take it into hand that not everyone's going to be your best friend. With these 4 people, like, I watch Hunter stream a little bit. Like, I watch Loco stream a little bit. I rarely, if ever, talk to them privately. I rarely, if ever, talk to them, like, outside of like when I have a minute to like go into their streams. We have a relationship both of us enjoy, that's fairly shallow. Most of the time we just like see each other at conventions,
You're so
express
ridiculously
well
busy.
wishes, and then like move on.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't expect every time you meet someone for your relationship to be like super close and your best friends.
Immediately
Yes.
super
And
bonding.
yeah, just like sometimes having just a like, I want you to do well, and I care about you, and that's it. Like, and once a year we'll meet up again, and I'll be like, "How are you? That's great. I hope it continues to be that way. I'll see you later." And that's
honestly, some of those fist
okay.
bumps can legitimately. I know it sounds like I'm over exaggerating. I'm not. Some of those fist bumps at the right time can help carry me through the rest of the year. It doesn't have to be I don't have to have the most intimate relationship with somebody to actually get a lot out of it. And a lot of that just, I think, configuring your expectations and taking what you can get and using that to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
It's just a mutual
Yeah.
respect. I think everybody
Sure.
understands how busy this job can be,
Yeah.
especially us, because it looks easy from the outside. You're like, oh, you're just playing video games. We understand what it takes, right? And so because we understand what it takes, we understand what other people are going through. So, these relationships are much more casual sometimes, and friendly than intense and like we're going to spend every moment together.
Yeah.
Like I feel strongly that a lot of people that I've met from Twitch and in the industry, if they lived down the street from me, I would hang out with them, every weekend, like in person, we would become very good friends. But, like they said, it's the nature of what we do. We're busy. We understand that. And keeping that healthy mindset that, not everything is about you. And again, go back to the Brian Hicks story, don't think that just because they're not talking to you and they're doing their own thing, that somehow they, don't like you or don't care about you or anything like that. So I digress.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, those are some really great points, and it's not something that's easy to like. When you think of convention tips, like it's not like the first thing that comes to mind is the whole
Yeah.
body language, like relationship discussion of these types of things. But you guys made some very good points. I'll bring it around if you guys have any last minute or closing like tips that